For the Rejects,
Oh,
no, they go with the NP again, alright.
Why? I mean, you know what, John? Why even hit heroes in this game, right? Like, you could just literally hit creeps the whole game. You hit a certain level, and then you can just teleport wherever the enemy is not, and just push down their towers, John. That sounds like a very effective strategy to me. Why the hell not?
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, why the hell not? I think the side of the Outsiders, though, do have really good wave clear now on their supports. Right, the Kotl can push back the Treants, although his damage doesn't scale all too well. So once you do get that level 30 talent, 2.5 times HP, you're not going to be melting them too much. The Mars does have some clear as well, so it's not the worst thing in the world for Outsiders to deal with, but they don't have something like the Sniper. I mean, they could opt for it now. That could be the way they go. A Sniper safe lane again. Up against a CK, though, it doesn't feel safe, because you do have Reality Rift, you do have Chaos Bolt, you can go for the Blink, you have your talent to pierce through BKB as well. So it's not as well protected with much stronger jump from the Rejects that pierces BKB. Rejects, they go for that Weaver, another high priority support. Good minus armor, very hard to lock in. The supports of Outsiders don't have the best hold for that Weaver at all, so this should be fairly free for FNG to zip in and out when he wants to, or Roger to zip in and out as he wants to there.
Yeah, fair enough. There's a Leshrac coming out once again. Outsiders, they'll go ahead and take it for themselves.
10 seconds remaining.
It's... I guess they are very different drafts here from these
5
two teams, but
seconds remaining.
I just feel like we're kind of going down the same route, right? Like, just farming quite a bit. Maybe a bit more fighting this time around, I'd say. Like, you've got the Mars, you've got the CK, who is known to be a bit more of a fighter. Especially because it does seem like we are going to see the POS 3 CK coming out from CIS Rejects. It feels like a lot of value, though, when you look at the Abaddon pick from Outsiders. Like, you've got the stun from the CK and the Bane Fiend's Grip to kind of cancel off with that Aphotic Shield. See what else they want here from either side to finish off these drafts. It just seems like both mid lane is... Yeah?
Yeah, the Rejects really need a mid. I mean, Outsiders could just run the Lesh mid and kind of deal with that. I mean, we saw our Lesh last time have a good time against the Storm, so the Rejects will have to consider what they want to counteract. Lena would have been great, but that was banned by the Outsiders. I guess you could try something like the Quap. You could do the Storm yourself if you wanted to give that a shot. Again, it wasn't the worst time coming through for GPK. He did still bounce back, so it is a lane that you can manage. But no, they ban out the Storm as well on Outsiders' end. Love the Tiny ban, though, Mike. We're not going to see that at all in this, at least in this game, too. So no balanced Tiny coming out, only the balanced NP. And that still leaves Outsiders with some decent choices. Like, Dusa is still in the pool, right? Like, it hasn't been banned out unless I'm blind, so...
Well, you are kind of legally blind right now with those glasses on.
Yes,
John,
I am.
I believe.
Yes, I am. So, no Dusa option. There is something like a Drow, which can handle waves pretty nicely, although, again, you have the jump there. And they do go for the Quap versus Lesh matchup. So, again, manageable enough. You can just wave clear. You can harass out the Lesh level 1 to 3. Feels all right for the Quap, and from there you're kind of open in your skill build as to what you want to do in the lane. Same for the Lush. So rather even matchup. Rune control's a lot easier for the Quap if you have that value point in Blink. That's something Outsiders will have to rectify. They don't have the best supports to rotate onto the mid. Right? Like, contesting those runes is a bit tough for Abaddon and Kotl. They have the move speed to walk up there, but they don't really have the control to threaten. So I think the Reject should still be able to have a good time for their mid and just building up and securing all the runes he wants.
What's the final pickup, though, for Outsiders? Like, they still require a position 1 here. Into the Prophet, into the CK. What do you really want here? Do you need a way to try and fight this POS 1 Prophet that can just literally farm forever and eventually become just this powerhouse that you don't even fight anymore? Like, he doesn't even want to touch you. He just wants to TP and push towers. So what can you actually pick up here that allows you to snowball enough that you don't allow CIS Rejects to do that a second time? Troll.
They go for the Troll. Alright, that's one way. I was expecting something like, say, a Luna. You could clear out the waves, you can farm pretty fast, hit some early power spikes. Troll can kind of still do wave clear. You could just offer a Maelstrom Diffusal build for early aggression that still has good wave clear and join your team. You do have a lot of early presence from Outsiders. Their mid-game spike feels really good. Rejects feels pretty good as well, but it does take some time for the CK. It feels like it will plateau. Like, after Armlet Echo Saber, your next item buildups take a lot longer. You're going to have to eat through the jungle with your Phantasm, taking away space from Ramses. So that can kind of conflict with each other, but very different drafts. Well, sort of different drafts. At least the rejects still have the NP. I do like the adjustment that outsiders have taken. All they have to do now is just play a lot faster than they did in game 1.
Yeah, certainly. So I wonder if they can try to control this MP this time around. I mean, they know the game plan. That's the thing. Like, they know what to expect. I think this time around it should be very, very different going into game number 2. Though, John, if you were to pick a draft that you think is better than the other, that you think has the advantage, would you lean towards CIS rejects or outsiders?
That's a bit tough. Like, I can see the Nature's Prophet just repeating what happened in game 1. I can see Ramses just pushing down every single time. It is much more punishable with a troll, because you do have that root true spell immunity. So it's not like you can easily bail out now on the NP, and that gives outsiders more ways to punish. But I think the adjustments rejects took in their overall draft kind of takes a lot of load off the NP. It's not like he's the only one scaling. You've got a CK that can scale really well into the late game as well, and you don't have the best solution for the illusions. Once Heart is up, even with all the wave clear you've got with magic damage, it might not be enough to really keep them down there.
Okay, well, we'll get into it, John. Game number 2 here between Outsiders and CIS Rejects set to get underway. What are you laughing about already, John? I can already see that huge smile on your face. Have you seen something?
Just a lot of tips, a lot of friendly good lucks coming out from both sides. You know, both sides are very friendly with each other. And of note, Ramses, playing against his former org under a different banner, once again, is fairly fun. I mean, he is proving a point really well here. His experience has been coming through, especially in that first game. Do have a quick pause, but the G is given immediately. Thank goodness we're not experiencing the C pauses here, Mike. Thank goodness, EEU, having better connections than we do.
I hope so, Jonathan. I mean, they don't have the same companies you like to point out every single time with the internet there in SCA, but in the EU internet company is definitely much better, it seems, as my outsiders might run right into FNG, or rather GPK will. Depressed Kid also going to show up, but they'll have a bit of a disco in the mid lane. Just high fives being thrown around. Good sportsmanship as Depressed Kid. He got a bit of a cheeky hit in before the high fives came out, but seems like they're more than happy anyway. GPK, he'll be just fine. This time around, we might actually see a level 1 team fight breakout. It does seem like both teams heading around the top side. See if FNG does move up on the Bane. He's going to be very careful. Though he does have the option to go for Nightmare, but I don't think it's quite recommended. They will just back off and allow the banner ins on the top side. And it was actually a 3-for-1 trade, so Outsiders this time around do get a bit of an advantage with these bounties.
Yeah, good pushback from DM, preventing Roger from pickup, and that does give him that extra rune. Still taking a look at that mid, GPK getting good block off, but so is the Depressed Kid. Does let loose the range creep, so should be able to get the deny off of that really nicely while still holding the high ground. And the matchup for Quap versus Lesh, it's fairly even. We have seen Quaps pull ahead, especially if you get aggressive with your Scream of Pain. Leshrac not as comfy with spamming out Lightning Storm damage output, and it's not as painful as the spam ability to Scream, so we'll see how much Depressed Kid can get. GPK's, and once levels ramp up, once you have that split Earth to threaten, can be a different story for the Quap. Rune control is a big one, and as long as you have that value point on Depressed Kid, he should have a better time in securing those.
Yeah. Of course, down a bot lane, DM and your Mitch going to be against Roger here, and you are going to have Miero there as well. They do kind of switch up the lanes a little bit. Miero taking the safe lane CK here. They'll hold on that thought. Depressed Kid getting so low in the mid lane, but it's like he's going to be just fine. And of course, top lane. Pure. Zakoda against FNG. Ramsey 666. You know, a bit of a switch up here, but I suppose the MP versus Troll is a much better matchup rather than the CK versus Troll. Though it is still a bit of a struggle, as you can see. Pure, he's so lane dominant on that Troll Warlord, and it's one of the strengths of the Troll that still kind of remained is how strong it is in that safe lane. It's very, very hard to contest this hero.
Yeah, but he also can't do too much to clear out the treants, and that's the big part. The Mars would be able to just clear them out really fast, bleed gold away. They can't quite do the same thing with the Troll here. Pure is still finding some good farm though, but so is Ramses. He's not being slowed down, and even Miero is having a really good time on that CK, not being slowed down or threatened by the Mars. Very tanky hero, hard to pin down and hope for a burst kill on. And you do have a lot of minus armor playing there as well, especially once Roger has a value point in the swarm. So lots of back and forth on both sides. Again, very even so far, except for the mid. As you mentioned, GPK is having a really good time spamming his spells.
Oh, depressed kid. Yeah, mid lane. He's going to get stunned up. GPK able to find the solo pick off, and tips are already coming out as you will see FNG try to rotate and get something done. Maybe he can secure this, but no, he gets woken up by the shadow poison. GPK, great fairy fire out to boot, so FNG, he can't secure the kill. That'll allow the Leshrac to just walk back to the fountain. And sad times here for Depressed Kid as he does give the tip over to GPK.
Yeah, at the very least, that rotation from FNG does ensure that the walk back has to happen. You can't hope on just the water runes to stay in the lane, so that will give some recovery out for the Press Kid. But a good start already for the Outsiders, just having that aggression lining up from mid. That is where they're likely to snowball. The Leshrac comes in line really fast. Objectives are going to melt if this guy has a good laning start.
Well, top lane, Ramses, he's dropping very, very low here and does go down. Zakoda able to secure the killers towards the bot side. Mitch also being chased down, and well, you can't blame Outsiders for these tips, right? Like, you've got to get the mental warfare going on early, especially against that Nature's Prophet.
Oh yeah, like, yeah, you know you got to get into their heads, make them make mistakes down the line. And one way is, of course, the usual tipping. Do you have the immediate TP back, and Ramsey's trying to get a bit aggressive and pure, but they can't really lock him in. He does have the Quelling Blade to get out of any sprout. You don't even have the value point up, and not going to be able to find that there. Still being aggressive down bot, though. DM's starting to drop pretty low, but that is still a Mars. You don't have the mana any longer on Miero to keep that aggression up. So one of the shortcomings of that CK mana pool, very limited in how much you can throw out, and that will limit your opportunities. No mangoes here for Miero, none on Roger to force feed as well. So they are just going to be forced to keep farming. But again, this is an overwhelmingly great lane for Miero in comparison to DM so far.
Rams is going to be careful again. Top lane, Zakoda already going to get started with that Curse of Avernus. It's like Pure's not going to try and move in on the troll. He should be just fine on the Prophet, but as you can see, Zakoda's being a real nuisance here. Just constantly chasing down the Prophet, and there's just not much he can do about it. Even with the level 1 Curse of Avernus, just it's so annoying. That added attack speed, and FNG on the Bane going to try and remain and just help out, but it is still Abaddon. Very, very hard to contest her in that lane. Bottom lane though, Mars, well, stunned up, but it's not going to amount to much. Miero did not want to go for the dive in. Didn't have the rift available anyway. In fact, now he's the one that's going to cop the Illuminate. It's just so much damage. DM, he's going to get salved up here in the Mars, so he'll be just fine to sustain himself and remain down at the spot lane.
Yeah, same thing goes for Miero, as he does get healed up by Roger, so just going to be able to, maintain that equilibrium so far with the 2-kill lead for Outsiders. They don't have a massive net worth lead. Again, the lanes are being worked out well by the side of the rejects. At least on their safe lane, still a bit of a slower start than you'd want for Ramses as well. FNG has to be a bit careful there.
Yeah, barely able to survive. Zakoda being so annoying as, oh, he's going to run right back into it. Oh, he's not going to be happy about that. FNG probably just going to die here. Zakoda should be able to chase him down and eventually just take him out. The no won't go for the Aphotic Shield play into the T1 tower. Not risking it. Just leaves him be. Meanwhile, towards the mid lane, GPK being pushed away with the Sonic Wave as Roger is going to rotate on the Weaver, though it does seem like it's going to be a fight over the power runes, but Roger, he may have arrived a bit too early. He's going to get punished. GPK able to pick up a kill for himself once again. And it does seem like FNG does eventually end up dropping as he tried to contest the haste rune there with Zakoda. Does not end up working out for him though. Oh, Depressed Kid now. Not you two, sir. He's gonna haste up here on GPK. Depressed Kid, they know exactly where he's gone. Oh, it's so disastrous here for CIS rejects as they are just losing bodies everywhere.
We expected stronger presence from the supports with the rotations with the Bane, but FNG's just been constantly kept low, didn't manage to go for a reset, forced to rotate for the rune in unideal circumstances, and the Outsiders just punish. A perfect start for them so far, 0-5. Again, the only issue they have is keeping that CK down. You are still having a really strong start in Miero. It feels like a lot of that momentum will have to come out from our CK and from our Quap. Sonic Wave still about a minute away. Perhaps once that's back up, and maybe by level 7, level 8, you start to feel comfy with going for a commitment onto a hero. But you don't want to give this kind of start out to outsiders. They are starting to build some stacks up as well on their jungle. Troll's going to be enjoying clearing that out, even the Leshrac and the Mars if need be. And once that build-up starts pouring through here for the side of the outsiders, it's as you said, Mike. You know, they need a lineup that prevents that late-game scenario from coming. And with this kind of start, it feels a lot tougher for the rejects to stall the game out to that point.
It certainly does. Again, the one saving grace though, Miero just having a really nice time right now and gonna have the armlet up very soon. The top lane Rams is again gonna find himself in trouble. Not great news at all for CIS Rejects as they're just gonna get run down here by Pure and Zakota. Ramses, he's still alive, but the chase is still going, somehow barely surviving. Now here going for the Nature's Wrath, and they actually end up finding Zakota instead. So Ramses somehow gets out scot-free, and he'll just TP right back to the fountain. In the meantime, bot lane Roger gonna end up dropping on the Weaver. There's no way of surviving through that arena spear. He's gonna drop, but on the other side of the map, GPK now going down.
You've got that opportunity for Ramses to show up. He has level 6, he has the Javelin, he has some damage output when he does rotate in. They might find Yamich as well.
They may. Yamich, not in a very good situation right now, just completely sprouted up, and Depressed Kid gonna have his way with him. And that's something they desperately needed. Things were getting very dire for the CIS Rejects, but it seems like eventually they're going to be able to keep up as Roger. Well, they'll chase down the Weaver, but he's always going to have Sakuchi available. No choice but to leave the Weaver be, and now Zakota going to be in trouble. Is the Press Kid not done quite yet? Can he get a final bit of damage in? That doesn't seem like it's Zakota. He's going to be just fine.
That's a big set of wins from the side of the Rejects, though. They find a solo kill down bot. While all of that breaks up, Miero does find that kill onto the Mars. So he's really building up on this basically uncontested CK. Already has the armlet up, working onto his power treads. Echo Saber or Blink BKB next, and at that point you are fight ready. And dragging the Troll down to mid means that his farm is kind of limited. He's not in a uncontested lane anymore. Ramses can start working the jungle a little bit more, just with the Javelin, although it is a lot comfier with a full Maelstrom up, but you do have the treants to play with, so not the biggest issue in the world. The side of Outsiders, though, starting to group up mid. They've got level 3 Edict. It doesn't take too long to really shove in the waves with the Kotl here as well.
It certainly doesn't. Depressed Kid, though, doing a lot of damage, just trying to man up here against GPK. He doesn't have Sonic Wave up, though, so can't really hope to finish off the kill, but just trying to scare GPK back. He will have his team around him. They might just move in again. With the Diabolic Edict, they'll try. This time around, though, Miero going to show up on the CK just in case they need it. They prepare for those power runes. Regen is going to be down at the bot side, and Miero will go ahead and pick it up for himself. The Press Kid not even bothering to try his top lane. Fiend's Grip is going to be out. They've got Pure. Ramses, he's going to rotate. No Battle Trance up yet, and they've got him. Pure, he's just going to drop. Not having a point in Battle Trance, so it doesn't allow him the chance of survivability.
Yeah, playing a little bit greedy, just wanting to go for much more presence in farming, and does get punished for it. Nice read coming out from the Rejects to find that pickup, and suddenly the game stabilizes. They get the lead out here for the Rejects. They started 0-5, now it's 5-6. Sort of reminiscent of what we saw in one of our Southeast Asian series with Fnatic and Boom. Once that momentum starts to swing, it swings pretty hard there, Mike. And the Rejects are, again, building into that point. Miero is building up really fast. Your Quap is almost ready, just rushing BKB, wants to stand and fight. And Pure is just constantly forced mid. You can't even play top to farm up.
Well, they do at least find Roger down at bot side. Never really gone out of that arena. What is it now, John?
And here we are again. Our little pip box just showing that split push from the NP, taking care of the top in very fast fashion. Of course, Outsiders are going to make that trade down bot, but the mid's already being shoved in as well by Miero and the Press Kid. The Phantasm Illusion, surprisingly, not as bad as you'd expect in getting a push off. So should be able to get a very good trade out for the Rejects if they can fully commit. You do have the supports of Outsiders holding that back, but the damage is being done, and even Ramsey shows up now.
It certainly does. I mean, he's the guy with the train, so they do get cleared up quite fast here from Yamich. But outside is clearly not wanting to allow that mid-tier 1 tower to drop. Just so important to allow the triangle farm for Pure here in this troll, as there is still going to be a bit of a wraparound here from CIS Rejects. Still just trying to set up for that mid lane tower push. Nice fuels out from GPK, though. He just picked that up, and it looks like they're going to find a Press Kid. They find the Quap. And they'll move right into the mid-tier 1 tower. Miero, he's still going to try and fight, and it's quite a lot of damage, but he's all alone. At least for now, but FNG does move his way in. It seems like he's fine, as they'll turn back into onto the Keeper of the Light. Yamich, still alive, but surely not for long. They are still trying to chase him down with this Coddle, but now it's the Weaver that gets caught out. Roger, caught with his pants down in the mid lane. Does go down to Yamich, and well, they threw a lot at him, but he just would not die.
Tower is under attack.
That's a lot of commitment out from the rejects. Maybe a bit too keen on that jump in. A little bit of a mistake coming out there. Miaro managed to get a good stun, Reality Rift off, and then Ramses used the Sprout on Yamich, and he just managed to cut it away and run. He does have the Quelling Blade ready, so the supports are ready to run away from that Sprout here. And you have to kind of watch yourself. You have good push on Reject's end, but so do Outsiders. And you have max level Edict. GPK doesn't take too long for him to find that, and suddenly the Outsiders have the better tower trade. They can control that bot jungle a little bit more if they want to. They can contest the triangle. You still have some really good vision coming through here from the Outsiders. Really good forward ward. It is under sentry, but they haven't been able to spot it, so they can always watch that jungle entrance for a little bit longer, figure out when the Outsiders are going for that smoke play. I think for the rejects now, it's time to just go back to that farm game. You've got Maelstrom up on Ramses, you just need him to build up. You want that blink up on Miero, you want that BKB done on the Pressed Kid before jumping in. So it's time for a little bit of patience, but as you farm, Outsiders farms as well. They've got that Maelstrom and Pure, you've got really good camp clearing from GPK. Their buildup will kind of match the pace of rejects here. Again, not enough the map shut down to stop that.
Oh, mid lane GPK caught, but a Photic Shield once again going to purge off the stun. Still, they want to try and move in onto this Leshrac, so Miero start moving his way forward, but doesn't ever go for the Reality Rift. Kind of leaves it at that. Again, this Abaddon paying off dividends already here for Outsiders. It's not allowing the follow-up onto GPK. Does seem like they're just going to have to leave this one be for now. Again, it is back to the kind of farm game right now as Outsiders. They're the ones who want to try and force the fight. We'll move in through the Radiant jungle. Won't find anyone quite yet. You can already kind of see FNG getting those wards down before they have to leave the area. So they just want that information on what Outsiders are up to while they're in this jungle. Of course, the rest of CIS rejects, they'll just move to the opposing jungle. They should just get away just fine. Nobody gets caught out.
And again, just a lot of back and forth cat and mouse. They do spot out Miero. Could be a nice kill if they land their stuns.
Ooh, GPK just wants the Yules, but he's going to lose vision. Miero just a bit too fast there on the CK. He's able to get himself out. They do take over the triangle though, and this is kind of what you want if you're Outsiders. Over the most valuable part of the map. In fact, they are still chasing down Miero. Still on the CK, farming towards the north, and they know exactly where he's gone. They had a ward to watch him walk up that way, so Miero gonna have to find a way out or need some help right now, but he'll cop the stun from GPK. How great is your armlet toggle, Miero? He's trying, but it's not gonna be enough. Nice kill from Outsiders. Great vision game once again to give that position away. Nobody else from CIS Rejects was able to move in and try to help out their CK.
I think they accept that fact that someone's got to cop these ganks. The CK is a farm-heavy hero, but he is still technically your offlane, so you don't mind sacrificing him to secure everyone else's build-up. They do manage to shove in bot, take a tier 1 themselves. Not the biggest tower to take at this point. And, you know, you would still rather see that mid-fall, but we have seen that commitment out from Outsiders to keep that thing alive. They will make a play for the top tier 1, again with a Leshrac. This doesn't take too long. Edict back up, Siege creep up as well. No defense coming through from the rejects. So now that foray into the triangle, it's a lot easier for the Outsiders with the mid and top gone. And the map is shrinking now for rejects. They are still split farming well with Ramses teleporting around. He's going to have his BKB soon. Whether or not that BKB is going to be enough at that point is a different question, as Outsiders do immediately go into the Roche. They have Pure around. With a Maelstrom up, they've got a lot of damage that can fly through here.
Yeah, Outsiders gonna go right into that Roshan. CIS Rejects seem to have no idea this is happening. Scan is gonna give the information away now, but they're not in position to try and counter this. So they're gonna have to watch it go down. GPK, he'll take the Aegis up, and this might be a very important factor for Outsiders now. You are still on a timer against this Prophet. You know what's going to happen if the game drags out. So with this Aegis, you can play a lot more aggressively and try to move into those tier 2 towers. We already see GPK right through the mid lane, trying to set up for that. CIS, they probably won't be prepped to try and defend a tier 2 tower for now. So it might be in their best interest here for Outsiders to try and slowly move their way into one.
Really good movement out here, though, flanking onto the bot tier 2, dropping that ward, as we saw in game 1 from the Outsiders, behind that tier 2. They've got good info for the defense when it does come true. They're going to be able to cut off the creep wave, keep that slow pressure up there. Creep wave is still far. And while all of that happens, Ramses is still working the map well. And this NP is still finding really good farm. Number 2 in network right behind GPK this time around, ahead of Pure. Everyone else kind of tied up afterwards. So you are still going to hit those spikes on the NP Shadowblade into Silver Edge, making it very hard to catch him out when he does farm. You don't have anything like Travels coming through here from the side of Outsiders yet. Although you could play around with Recall down the line if the Agchar does come out for Yamich, so you can just have someone split push as well and just TP them in for a fight if need be. But still a ways off for pause for Kotl, so not going to see that anytime soon. Really even in that fort, slight lead for the Outsiders, not able to stun up there on TP out, but 3k lead for the Outsiders. Again, a lot better of a story than game 1 for them. They are managing to prevent that snowball effect here for the Rejects, and the Rejects are forced to play the super passive game. They don't have a playmaker like they did in game 1. They don't have something like the Sand King that can start these fights. I mean, your CK can, but the conditions for that are a lot harder to pull off in comparison.
Still a very slow game though, 5 to 10. Outsiders. And they've definitely been looking to try and move in. In fact, here we go. GPK again with the Yule setup. Is not going to be able to catch the press kit this time. He does have the BKB up. So he's going to be just fine to just TP away. At least now with the BKB being used up, Outsiders might feel much more confident to try and move into that bottom tier 2 tower. Again, they still have the Aegis available on GPK, and now they know the BKB is not going to be ready on the Quap.
Oh.
However, mid lane, who have they got? It's going to be the Mars DM. Gone, and CIS Rejects just going to move into the tier 1 mid tower. Not quite the even trade you're looking for, but it's certainly something.
It gives them back some map control in the top jungle. Makes it a little bit harder for the Outsiders to defend that position. Of course, the bot will also open up for Outsiders if they do manage to find a tier 2. Don't fully commit. The wave is constantly cut off by Ramses. Look at those tree and smite, just cutting off that bot wave, ensuring that the push can't actually happen because of backdoor. So the Outsiders, their time is just kind of wasted. They don't find anything. They're being cut off, and despite being behind a bit here on the Rejects, they are still working the map really well. They're positioning well. They're working around the map very nicely. They're cutting off any push opportunity, and they are slowly but surely stalling the game out by as much as they can here.
They're more than happy to play the slow game here. CIS Rejects, no rush whatsoever. Like you said, Ramses, he's just on constant split pushing duty here on the Prophet. In the meantime, you saw the attempt there from GPK on the Lesh, but he's just going to get nightmared up. We'll just keep him in place. He's still trying to chase somebody down, but just unable to find the target. So CIS Rejects, again, just playing the running away game. Ramses has been spotted by Pure. On the bot side, but more importantly towards the north. DM gonna move in, has found Miero. They'll land the Arena Spear out onto the CK. Is FNG, he's just gonna TP right out. Miero, he'll try to do the same, and he's gonna get away. What? Oh, they couldn't stop him.
That's... Huh? That's not something that should ever happen. You know, you have so many stuns, you had the Yules. They didn't manage to stop him. So a good way of, again, stalling the game out here from Rejects, forcing these rotations, not losing anyone, giving the space to Ramses to split push and farm, and just preventing any opportunity for that push.
That's a big pick off if they could find it. Pure, he's still okay. Instead, Zakoda gonna have his borrowed time popped here on the Abaddon. He finds a back off as well, but it's kind of like you said, John. Every time Outsiders miss out on a kill like that, it's just so much more effective for them. The fact that they need to hit their timings and move in, take some objectives, it's just not happening yet. We're almost 22 minutes into the game, and no tier 2 towers are gone. And there's your Aegis gone as well, so GPK, he's not going to have the backup damage, or rather life, of the Aegis available.
Yeah, it's just not what you want to see. They drop this really nice aggressive ward behind the tier 2 to break up the defense. They don't even find that opportunity to push. The bot is still shoved in. Really good Nightmare again, cutting off that movement here from GPK to look for a kill, to hunt down Ramses. Still committing though. They cut the creep wave and reveal. Ramses should be able to bail himself out now. Split push elsewhere. And the creep wave is getting closer to that tier 2 bot, but they're going to have to really commit on the side of the Outsiders. You know, they can't just bail out. They have to have multiple heroes here for that push. And again, they have this really good aggressive ward behind to cut off the defense. It's only FNG. Does realize that it might be time to leave, but they could shove in the top. It is shoving in nicely with Depressed Kid and the Phantasm Illusion come through, and Ramsey shows up, so looking for that trade. Fortify is forced out.
Yeah, they're going to find the Bane. Like, FNG is just going to show up. Just kind of give him a free kill there, as GPK will say thank you very much. Can they move into a tier 3 tower, though? That's the real question. Without an Aegis up, I guess at least you could try to just force them to rotate back and defend. Thing is, they don't even have a creep wave right now anyway. They are just kind of lacking it, as now Roger's the one split pushing here on the Weaver. He's not going to allow them the opportunity to really have a creep wave, but there is one more coming, but they've already left the building. They aren't going to stick around. Instead, they'll try to chase down Roger. See if they can find him. GPK's having a look around right now in his triangle. They do actually find him with the Sentry Wall down. They're going to have to set up for the Split Earth, and they will take him out. But if you're CIS Rejects right now, you're more than happy. Like, you've got all the side lanes just being pushed out constantly, and it doesn't seem like Outsiders have an answer.
No, they're still running around. They can't find the big kills they want. They can't find that opportunity for high ground. Rejects just playing really well and cutting off the creeps every time. If it's not Ramses, it's Roger. If it's not Roger, then it's the Prescott elsewhere. They've got really good mobility to get that done as well. They're getting that steady build-up you want on the CK, on the NP. With these two heroes scale really well into the late game. And you might reach that point again where the game's just a bit too slow and you don't end fast enough that the NP will just constantly split push. I mean, he has the shard up here. Still level 17, so no level 20 talent for the Sprout, no level 25 talent for the TP. But you still can't stop him as it is. Like, Ramses is just cutting off all your angles.
Mid lane, he's going to be careful for those ensnares from Pure. He's going to be able to back off just fine, but still unable to catch the Queen of Pain. CIS Reject still just kind of unwilling to take a team fight. His Outsiders trying their absolute darndest to get something going. It might be about the mid-tier 2 tower now. It's the Depressed Kid. Well, he does get spotted, but doesn't really get hit by Pure, so he's just fine. Instead, never mind GPK. He's going to find the Yule Scepter, but Depressed Kid, he does get the BKB off in time, and he wants to go for a bit of a fight. Instead, DM will move in onto Roger. They do at least get the Weaver for their trouble. Again, CIS Rejects don't seem interested whatsoever in going for the 5v5. As Outsiders, they'll take the tier 2 mid, and it does seem like they're going to try and force the rotations back for this tier 3 tower. Drums pop, they are committed. Problem is, they don't have a creep wave right now. They'll wait it out a little bit. But Pure, he's not backing off yet. He wants to go all the way. Stuns out. GPK will move in. DM is there. Nice spear out onto the Bane. That'll be another. It's DM, Pure, trying to back, but they've lost the Troll Warlord. Oh, Miero just wipes him out as GPK now going to try and back himself out of there. In fact, he'll move back in on a Depressed Kid. They do get the quad, but they're going to lose the Leshrac. So they'll even lose the Coda. And Miero, he's chasing for a bit more here onto DM. Yamich, he'll be fine to TP away. Miero unable to find DM either. But it was still a successful defense to come out from CIS Rejects.
Oh man, why you gotta do Pure like that? You know, he's just playing Troll, standing forward. And that's the one strength of that CK, Mike, that pull back. The Reality Rift puts you out of position. No save, no range to save from that stun there for the Abaddon. And with just one little pull back, you have so much opening up for you. So you have to respect that on the high ground. There is a good way of punish. The damage output of the CK is pretty damn good. He's going for the Heaven's Halberd as well. And once that's up, your Troll is pretty much nullified. His big output with the Battle Trance is just gone.
Ramsey's just so confident out of that bot lane. He just TP'd right into the Mars. He could not give a crap as Miero going to intercept as well onto the Keeper. But they won't have the detection. Outsiders just rotating so many heroes down to try and defend this bot lane, but it's really the top lane they've got to defend. John, Treants are moving in.
Yeah, that they are. The army's moving up. A bit of a mistake for Miero. He popped the smoke as he used Reality Rip. So it popped on his starting location. Didn't catch the Cockle. Would have had that kill otherwise, but not the biggest loss in the world. Ramsey's still playing tag here. Oh, level 20 talent up.
Yeah, so he gets, look. And this hero is so stupid. And this hero is just so stupid. As GPK, he's going to get away. The Lesh is going to be fine. This nature's prophet just makes no damn sense.
Man, I still remember the first time we saw it from Natsumi in BTS Pro Series. What was it? 10? 9? 10. It was just... the level 20 talent's really something else, isn't it? Now, you gotta appreciate that leash. Look at Miero here. Looking for an opportunity with Ramses, but no one showing up. Just gonna go for that push. Roche is up, though, and the Outsiders do position themselves for that. No vision here from the side of the Rejects. Gonna be a quick one if they leave Pure alone for this.
Yeah, bold of you to assume they want to fight right now, John. Rams is already pushing bot tier 3 tower. He doesn't care about Roshan. Roshan can go the way of Outsiders if it wants. Doesn't really matter. They don't want the fight. They're still pushing tier 3 towers.
And they use the Phantasm for that push as well. They forced the Fortify with no actual heroes there.
Still, at least FNG is going to drop here. Outsiders able to find something for their trouble. And I suppose with this Aegis up, they should be able to move high ground once again if they can get these side lanes pushed in. That's what they'll have to address first. They'll move in and get that sorted. Ramses and Miero, though, still hanging around bot lane, hoping someone moves low ground. Ramses, he's going to show himself. GPK going to try and move in, but the stun's around. Yule Scepter is there in time. And Ramses, well, he'll just TP right away. Miero going to have to do the same, but he can't get it off. We'll drop to GPK. But the split push just continues.
Yeah, they have really good lane control here from the side of the Rejects. The mid was shoved in a little bit, but they're forced to respond to the side lanes. They don't get that opportunity to go for the racks. And the Outsiders, despite being ahead 9-17, only have that 2k lead. Most of that gold's on GPK, not on Pure. The Prescott just jumps in.
Yeah, he does. He's going to pop his BKB up, and there's your leash. Where you going, Leshrak? He'll use himself up, but the Prescott has the Sonic Wave, and they've got plenty of damage. Still, DM gonna move in and at least finds a decent trade for his team. It's something. But without GPK, it probably means you're not gonna be able to go high ground. So it's gonna be another 70 seconds where this Aegis is gonna be unused. In fact, Nightmare is there from FNG to hold down the troll. It just won't matter. There's not gonna be a follow-up.
That gives Ramses the space to just shove in top. As usual, really good play from the Prescott. Waiting for that courier to come up, lining it up with the Sonic Wave, finding the kill, and the courier kill as well. So cutting off the spider legs for a little bit longer. As mentioned, Mike, the Outsiders still can't push. Look at Roger just cutting off. He has the Harpy creep again.
Well, there goes your coddle. It's such a disgusting combo, right? Like, Roger's walking around with a Harpy creep. He can scout himself with Sakuchi, but he's being a bit lazy about it, John. He wants forward vision before he Sakuchi's in. And then you've got Roger who can TP in at any moment.
This is a balanced game, Mike. Game 1 is balanced, game 2 is equally balanced. You remember old Night Stalker when he had his Ags giving flying vision? Remember when that got nerfed?
Yeah.
And then this comes in. This is just like a way better Night Stalker now. Like, who needed that patch? This is it. This is the future. I hope it never changes, Mike.
So do I, John. The best part about it is this takeoff ability just doesn't drain enough mana. Like 2.5% mana, but don't worry, because you're going to regen more than that anyway. For some reason. It just... Who thought of this, John? Whose idea was this?
Hey, don't question the frog, Mike. He knows his balance.
It certainly does, John. Very, very evident right now in this game too. It's GPK. Bot lane, looking at Miero. You just scan him out. Miero going to be in trouble again. GPK going to go for the easiest stun of his life and does land it. Miero, how do you get out of this one? He's going to try for the TP play out, but they've got so much damage. Zakota was there anyway with the Aphonic Shield to purge off the stun, and that's going to be another death for the CK.
It's been a bit slow going for Miero. No build up into that BKB yet. Gonna need that spell immunity to really get that bailout going, and if Fure's not there to stun with his bash or with his root, then basically free to go home. The Rejects though is still holding down here. And you see Pure, Age is still up for about a minute 20. Has the Satanic up as well, so it is a very tough target to pin down, but they'll just cut the creep wave. Prevent any sort of progression at all. Outsiders will group up for a smoke. Maybe look for that pick off into the push, and if they find Ramses, that's one way to stop all of this madness.
Absolutely. He's up at top lane right now, Ramses. He might show on the creep wave as we speak, and does. Gives all the info they need, but can they actually catch him? Ramses, he'll back off. That's a great spear out TM, right on target. Perfect. They'll take down the pesky Nature's Prophet. Mind you, DM, he did have a gem, but nice spear nonetheless.
Yep. On point, good movement out. Ramses just playing a little bit greedy, sticking around. He saw the outpost being taken back and didn't respect that movement out. So this is the opening for the Outsiders. A minute 10 without the Nature's Prophet split pushing. They are still having to repair some lanes, but that should give them the opportunity to clean up that last outer tower top, maybe shove in mid. Although again, you are still seeing Roger do his work as well and keeping out the waves. So not as smooth going as you'd want here for Outsiders. The rejects have just been really good at splitting up. Like, they are not playing like team fight Dota. They're not playing like this, coordinated fights way. They're just coordinated when working the map. They stay far apart. They push the waves out. They don't give that opportunity to push. Look at FNG. He's just hanging around. The Shadow Amulet, Nightmare up GPK, and just being a nuisance. And he TP's out.
Yeah, but in the mid lane, John, push is going on right now. Pure has gotten started on the mid racks. Drums popped. Plenty of attack speed here for the Troll Warlord, and without Ramses around, you wonder if they can really force the fight. Miero thinking about jumping in, but you've got the Nightmare to set up. Pure, the stun, but a Photic Shield is there once again from Zakoda. Very, very hard to actually try and secure anything down, and they actually don't get anything. They won't get the mid racks. Instead, towards the top lane, Depressed Kid, he'll get his BKB off in time, and he'll actually go for a bit of a fight before he blinks out. So instead, Outsiders forced to take the top tier 2, and they might try for the T3 tower while they're at it. DPK, thinking about moving in. Miero, he'll be the target, trying to move out of that arena. He'll be forced to man-fight this one out. Onto the left rack they go. He's pretty tanky. A big sonic wave there from Depressed Kid, but it's not proving to be enough. FSG and Roger, they'll both down. Buybacks are coming out though. They'll keep going onto the left rack, but there's just so many stuns flying out. GPK, he's still not dying. They're still trying, but he's still alive somehow. Still healing up. FNG, this man just won't go down. GPK, he's in an Ultra and he wants the rampage, but they steal it away from him. Alright, game 3 it is, John. The rat won't work out this time. GPK, just way too tanky on the Lesh. They get a ton for game 2. We'll force to a game 3 between these two. We'll see if the Nature's Prophet's gonna come out a third time.
Yeah, I mean, I think for the side of Rejects, this looked like a game that was very manageable for them up till a certain point. The moment Ramses overstayed his welcome up top while the outpost was being taken was one of them, and the fact that Miero never got his BKB. Like, how do you sustain yourself as the CK in this kind of match without that BKB? You just melt. You can't even stand, you can't even hope for the life steal back, and you have to deal with a Kotl as well with that blinding light, nullifying the physical output of your 2 cores. So, really good draft this time from Outsiders. Great adjustment to prevent that prolonged game from the Rejects. And the Rejects, and they went back to something, they coordinated really well working the map. Just 1 or 2 small mistakes opened up the game for Outsiders to take it back, and considering how close game 1 was, you can't afford to make those mistakes here.
You certainly can't, and it's nice to see an Outsiders kind of worked out the drafting issue here, and we're able to force this to a game number 3 now against CIS Rejects. We are going to head off to a very short break though, and right after that break, we'll be back with game 3's draft between these two teams. We'll see you then.